phone for
Need a
1 second?
haircut? Here, we can really put one of them little circles on the side. We can do some kind of trimming.
I seen a guy walking in the mall the other day. He had
Yeah, a little circle right here.
shaved into the back of his head. You get that out of here. Everywhere I go, there's cameras. No, it's not there.
Not quiet about it, your notes.
Yeah, everybody's in their picture poses. Everybody's in their picture pose here. Mom, isn't she just like Joanne when she was little? Always in front of the camera.
I saw you, Joanne.
It says Mashes on the Barb. It says Mashes.
Yeah, it says that.
Like you
Okay,
made
so
it
for
funny.
mixing liquids, use a tall container
It's me.
or make small at a time. Also, it doesn't go up.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that
you have to require them to watch it. Splash it right over the top.
I'm not Alan Jackson, Joanne. She said, I don't like the music. He's just fine.
all yours. Just send me the checks.
She said, I don't even like
Is that June Allison?
Donna
Donna
Reed.
Reed.
Get these legs on film. You might could sell this tape a little bit later for money or something.
Better get close enough.
Wakarusa. And there was a Amishman that had a fence company. And we were taking out a bunch of dirt for him. We had to cut maybe 6 foot of dirt off of it's a retention area. And what they do is like every 10 years they'll bring a machine in there and they'll clean that ditch out, take all the soot and weeds and everything that's fallen into it so the water will flow. So I was up there and we had a big dozer TD-15 there, and then we had one of the hose, and one guy was pushing and one guy was digging. Well, I dug for half a day and loaded trucks, and then I'd get on the dozer the rest of the day. We'd work back and forth that way. Well, the guys we had trucking for us weren't our own guys. They were a company called Rateable Trucking, and they've got maybe 8 or 10 trucks, but they're real junky and everything else. And the old guy that worked for him he was just hillbilly. I mean, he was West Virginia material. He was something else. He come out there, and I had talked to him that day, and I told him, I said, the way we got to do the whole thing, I said, you back up on the side of the mound, I'll load you, and then you pull out, and then the truck, and once you get up out of the drive, the next truck can pull in beside you. That way, it was real narrow through there. And he'd come up in there, and I'd load him, and then the next guy would come and I'd load him, and they took off. And I got to know the guys pretty good. We ate lunch and everything together, and they were funny, but they didn't talk a whole lot. So I didn't. At the end of the day, I got on the dozer around lunchtime, so I started pushing the dirt, just cutting it out of there. And all of a sudden, these bones were coming up out of the ground. I thought, man, I've got into an old graveyard or something back here. And I seen femurs, and I seen all kinds of stuff, And all of a sudden I looked over there in the corner, and there was this skull. It was about this big. It was a cow, and it was perfect tack. It had the teeth in it and everything. So I thought, I'm going to have me some fun with this thing, So I went and grabbed it real quick, put it on the seat next to me on the dozer, and I told Jeff, who was running the hoe, I told him, I said, next time Rateable guys come back, I said, you distract them. We got a horn on the machines when we load them, we beef it and stuff. They come back there, and he got done. He beat for that guy to come back there and talk to him. So while he was talking to him, I ran the dozer along in front of his truck, and I went up there and I stuck that big cow's head on the seat of the passenger side of that truck. And then I got back on the dozer and started grading like nothing was going on. And we thought he'd be driving down the road, look over there and see this cow's skull sitting on the seat next to him. And he left, and as soon as he started pulling out, I stopped the dozer and I looked over there at Jeff. We were just waiting for him to just stop that truck, come on, have a fit or something, or be a superstitious guy or something, and just have a fit. And he just kept driving. And I looked over there at Jeff and I thought, come on, he'll see it any second. And he just kept driving. And he pulled right out of there and just took off on down the road like nothing was going on. And I'm like, no way, this guy's got to see this. Thing's this big sitting in the passenger side. So that to make a round trip where they were dumping at was about 20 minutes. They weren't too far away. And he come back, and me and Jeff just dying laughing. And I pulled the dozer up beside the truck, and I said, how's his name? What was it? Do you remember what his name was? I wanted to say Chucky, but not Chucky. I believe it was Jerry. Jerry Rateable, I believe. He was one of the main guys in the company. So anyhow, he says, I said, how's your buddy doing? And he looked at me, and he had no idea what I was saying. I said, he don't know what we're talking about. And I said, he talked real hillbilly. I said, how's your buddy doing? He said, what you boys talking about? I thought, oh no. He said, when y'all put a snake in my truck? I thought, oh no. You know, so anyhow, long story short, he took 3 trips before he ever found out. And then when he came back, you know, he was a good sport about it. He wasn't mad at nothing. And I told him, I said, I didn't mean to scare you, and I just thought, you know, and he later on the next day he was running for us again. He told me, he said, I appreciate that. He said his daughter was in a science fair project, and he took that thing and put it in the science fair project. His daughter won first prize for she collected animal bones and stuff. I don't know, anthropology or something, whatever they call it. And she won first prize because he had a full cow's head intact, teeth and all.
Story number 1, his cow story.
No, because if this
Number
gets
2,
to Virginia,
take 1.
I'll never hear the end of it. They can tell that cow story. Them weren't cows. Did I tell you that when we all went up there hunting again though, them same cows were there on that side of the hill? Larry and Joey were in the truck, made me get out and open the gate. Cows started coming. I forget what I had in my hand. Joey remembers I had something in my hand I was swatting them with. Hard hat. I think it was hard hat I wanted to swat it. No, that's not a funny story. Here, when we went hunting up there, no, that wasn't the same time, I don't believe. Yeah, we went hunting, and we usually hunt on the downside of a hill right next to Jim's up there with a gift shop. Well, we decided we'd go on the other side of the road one day, way up in the mountain. And Grandpa's foot had been hurting him, so he had stayed kind of low, and Larry wanted to go way up, and I kind of went up in the middle somewhere, I guess. And we had hunted, long story short, we hunted most of the day. And it was getting kind of dark, and it was about time to go. So Larry said, you know, just to stay put, and let him come back down the hill when he's ready to go, and just pick me up on the way down. So I stayed up there. It's hunting. I didn't see nothing all day. I think I seen a couple doe or something running, but didn't really see nothing. And there was bears up there, you know. He would have shot a bear, I guess, if he seen one, because he was bear hunting at the same time, I guess. And, didn't see any bear, nothing. And Larry seen a cub, and he hit it in the head with a candy bar, he said. But anyhow, he come down out of the mountain, and I don't know if he passed me or what, but I was by myself, and it was getting dark. It was about dusk, and the truck was parked. As the hill came down, there was about 100 foot of flat land, and then there was the road, and the truck was parked out by the road. Well, I didn't know, but there was these cows in that it was pasture, and there was cows in there. And when I say cows, I don't mean black and white cows. I mean these are, what do they call them? You know what they're called. They're all black. Some of them, yeah, some of them were brown and stuff like that. Well, I could hear them off in the distance, but never really paid any attention to them. And it was getting pretty dark, and I was waiting for Larry to come down. I was going to walk back with him. And he didn't show, and didn't show, and didn't show, and it was starting to get dark, and I thought, well, I'm going to start walking because it's getting pretty dark. You know, I know where the truck's at. I'll just go sit and wait in the truck. So I come down. It took me a while. I got down out of the hill, got down out of there more and more and more. And we were bow hunting. That's what we were doing. So I didn't want to be up there after dark anyways, you know. So I got down at the bottom, at the flat. Now, Grandpa was supposed to be there, and he was gone. So Larry's gone, Grandpa's gone. Here I am, I don't know where I'm at, and it's getting dark, and there's bears running around. And I'm thinking, this ain't going to work.
Find the truck?
Huh? Well, no, I hadn't walked to the truck yet. I knew where the truck was. That was no problem. But I was going to wait on them. Well, come find out, Grandpa come down early and went on the other side of the road, you know, where we used to hunt. And he said, for me, at Flat Point, Stewart, I got down there and I thought, I'm going to walk over there to the truck. So I started walking over there. And I got halfway, and remember, it's pretty dark. I mean, you can barely see. I see these objects moving in. And if they're going to watch this and say there were no bells on them, but I think that some of them had bells on their necks or something, because I could hear the clanking, and then they'd start to move. But you know, I was thinking, and I still say one of them at least was a bull, because these things, as I was walking, were real curious, you know. And all honesty now, I didn't pay much attention. At first I thought, well, they're just cows. But I started walking out there, and I thought they'd just leave me alone. Well, they started coming in. And I don't mean onesie-twosies, I mean all of them. Hello. And, you know, I'm thinking stampede, and I'm thinking these are bulls, and I'm thinking there's females out here. And one of them, you know, I watched the rodeo. This ain't gonna be good. This ain't gonna be good. I'd be on that worst wrecks video or something, you know, this ain't gonna work. So I thought, well, I'm out in the middle, I either go for the truck, or I'll go for the hill. And I'm thinking, well, you know, if I go back, bears, if I go forward, bulls. We ain't talking football either. So I didn't know. So I went with the Bears because I figured, you know, I might not.
Chicago Bears and the Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls. But I figured if I go for the Bears, I'd be better off because I might not see him. But the Bulls, I was going to see. So I went back. Now I still haven't seen Larry or nobody. So I sit in there, and Grandpa had already got down, but I bet I sit up there for 20 minutes. They kind of had me at bay there, you know. I was just kind of waiting. And I tried to go out a couple times, but every time I'd walk, they'd come on in, you know. So I went back and waited, and finally, Larry, I'd start hearing him yelling off in the distance, my name. You know, I'd yell back, and he couldn't hear. And he'd yell, and the mountain, the way you yell, and it shoots off, you know. So he got down there at the bottom, and he probably wasn't too happy. It's dark, looking for me and everything else. And I said, well, let's go. And I told him, I said, Larry, we got a little problem. And he's like, what do you mean we got a problem? I said, there's about 20, 30 head of cattle out there. They ain't about to let us through. And I said, there's bulls out there. And he just started snickering. And I'm like, what's so funny? He said, man, them ain't bulls. He said, them are milking cows. And he just laughed. I didn't think he'd get to the truck. Now, I've seen my grandpa laugh, but not in 22 years of my life have I ever seen him laugh as hard. He wheezes and everything else when he gets to laughing. I didn't think he'd make it. But anyhow, we got out there about halfway, and sure enough, me and Larry, here they come. And I said, see, here they are. Well, we had hunting chairs, and that's a whole story in itself right there, but we had these chairs that we were using. At least we had one of them. And he took that chair and just yell at him or swing something at him, but no problem. So they all left, and we got down there and got in the van, and Larry had to play fun, you know, and tell the whole story. And it's got so blown out of proportion now that everybody in the Tri-County area knows that I'm afraid of cows. I go to work, and they moo at me, you know. It's not pretty.
Doing that. I was sitting in the van doing some work in there. I looked up, and the whole thing of the cows surrounded the van. All I could see was cow faces on all the windows. And they ate the covers off my fog lamps. They just chewed them right up and ate them, and then they were licking the van.
Yeah.
And I had all this grass and everything,
Licking
ton
the salt.
marks all over this van. I had to drive it home.
Farmyard on a barn.
Yeah.
And we had our paint down in the buckets on the ground, and goats came in there and drank our paint before we could get off the scaffolding and get down there and get it.
They drank it.
They drank the paint. That farmer had a fit.
Just flew for 3 weeks.
Christmas you remember the most, and you're telling cow and goat stories, and Christmas.
I gotta go. I'm gonna go probably back 45 minutes.
Don't miss the airplane.
3.
You don't miss when you,
Little boy.
Cow stories.
Yeah.
Come on,
No,
give them a message.
I wouldn't know what to say.
Merry Christmas, tell them. Get out of here, get back here. Most memorable Christmas. Okay, Jason, what was it?
Came out into the living room and saw my great big gun. Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was a real nice 45 caliber. 45 caliber muzzle.
How old were you?
15. Just about 15.
14.
Barb's most memorable Christmas.
I got a transistor radio, and I remember I opened it up about 3 weeks before Christmas. Put the batteries in it, listened to it all night, took the batteries out the next morning, put it back in the box, wrapped it up, put it back under the tree the next night. And I took it out again and unwrapped it, put the batteries in it, played it all day. I did that for 3 weeks. And that was my most memorable.
In his Triumph convertible, and we took off, and I was dressed as an elf, and he was Santa Claus, and we went into all kinds of people's houses that we had no idea who they were. They didn't know who we were. We just walked into people's houses, and everybody was looking at everybody else, wondering, "You know him? You know him?" We just went in and said, "Merry Christmas," walked through the house, talked to all the little kids, walked back out.
nobody knew you.
No one knew who we were, got back in this convertible that had the top down at Christmas, and it was Triumph, and we took off and just went all over the place like that.
You were the elf?
Yeah.
Did you have elf suit on?
Uh-huh.
Did you have a Santa suit on?
Then we got back, yeah. Then we got back to the house, and DJ's dog saw us. But didn't know who we were because we were dressed up, and he attacked us.
Zach's going to go pick up his girlfriend.
A Doberman.
That's fine.
I can't see what age it is on there, but.
Oh, he looks just like you, he smiles too, huh?